Hello again, fellow Gears. What's up? It's Maticon bringing you another Gears 5 video. This one is on Grace's skill cards. Before we begin, I just need to thank Dr. Schwazi on this one, but with that said, let's do this. Her ultimate is Enhanced Melee, which is all melee hits will knock back and stun enemies. This stun aspect of Grace's ultimate is nice to use and fun, and can bail you out of a bad situation if necessary. One thing to note, though, is that her ultimate does stack with the Breaker Mace and Pipe, which is pretty cool to see. And I'll have some gameplay footage later on in this tutorial showcasing her ultimate with the Breaker Mace. Her passive ability is damage you take slowly recharges your ultimate. Having an ultimate recharge faster is always a great thing, right? One more thing I'd like to say is that Grace's skill cards obviously revolve around her with the Breaker Mace or Pipe. Now onto her skill cards. Starting out with GSD. Enemies killed by melee explode for 80% damage to nearby enemies. This is an awesome and fun skill card to have on because whenever you melee kill something, that enemy explodes and deals extra damage to all the surrounding enemies, which is great when you're dealing with a pack of juvies, and I think this card is even more fun when Grace is killing enemies while using a Breaker Mace. One quick note though, while using this card in Escape is that exploding enemies can also hurt the other players in your run. Moving on to Post-Human. Close range damage increases the effects of damage recharge by 200%. This is an okay card to have on because it makes your ultimate recharge even faster, and getting your ultimate quicker than normal while playing Escape is really nice. Moving on to First Strike. Melee damage to enemies with full health is increased by 30%. This is a good card to have on because obviously any way you can deal more or extra melee damage with Grace, the better. On to Blunt Instrument. Breaker hits cause 50% damage over 5 seconds. This skill card is why Grace was made, baby. Yep, because whenever you get your hands on a Warden's Mace or a Pipe, you're dealing an extra 50% bleed damage over 5 seconds with it. And that is freaking awesome. Yeah, the Mace though does about 2.5 times more damage than the Pipe. However, if you're running a hive that doesn't have a Warden or Breaker Mace to pick up on the ground like the Choke, then this card can easily be substituted for Dark Fate if you have a Sarah Connor in your game. Moving on to Stim Siphon. Melee hits grant 4% Stim. This is a great skill card to have on because any way you can get Stim is always an awesome thing. And melee hits, of course, does include the Breaker Mace and Pipe. But like the card says, it's melee hits only, so it does not work with any guns or heavy weapons. Moving on to Dark Fate. Damage reduced by 30% near Sarah Connor. If you're doing a run with a Sarah Connor in it, then this is an okay damage reduction skill card to have on. And if you do have a Connor in your run, you could substitute this card for a Blunt Instrument if you're doing a hive without a Mace or a Pipe. Moving on to Epic Score Boost and Score Boost. When it comes to these two cards in Escape, if you're not doing a faster time or a top 5% run, these cards aren't going to do much for you. But now that we've gotten all the skill cards out, even more fun begins because we get some gameplay footage of Grace here for you. So I wanted to start out with a pack of juvies versus Grace's GSD gold card. Every time one dies, boom, baby, boom, some others around her are dealt with as well. This is a lot of fun for sure. Now I wanted to mention that Grace's metal pipe does still do bleed damage on enemies, but what you really want is the Breaker Mace because it does 2.5 times more damage than the pipe. So as soon as you can upgrade the pipe to a Breaker Mace, definitely do so. Here is an example of Grace using her ultimate because, again, it stuns and damages enemies, and as you can see, it can easily get you out of a bad situation, and this was on the Surge Hive speedrun, and even elite drones get stunned and damaged, which I think is pretty cool watching it in action. However, using her ultimate on bosses and mini-bosses won't actually do any melee damage to them, but it will still stun them, which is still an advantage for your teammates to help take them down. And here I'm stunning this Warden with her ultimate, and then use the Breaker Mace to finish him off, because your ultimate, again, stacks with both the Mace and the Pipe. Great stuff. In closing, I think Grace is fun to play, but is she worth the extra money? Well, that'll be your call to decide. But with that said, that'll complete this Grace skill card Escape tutorial. And by the way, I think killing and blowing up a Matriarch with a Mace and Grace's ultimate ability with her gold card is amazing. Check it out. Boom, boom, boom. And he blows up, he's gone. All right. Enjoy it, everybody, as usual. Thank you.